Hi, this is April again, and I'm in my studio, and I want to talk about safety. And I know I can hear you guys, and you're rolling your eyes, and you're saying, "Oh, no, yeah, safety yawn." But you know what? When we get too complacent, that's when accidents happen. So we need to address it. We all need to be reminded. So let's remind you a little bit. Let's talk about safety. The first thing you want to do is not ever to wear a scarf. I'm not a scarf person, so that's not a problem for me. But any kind of scarf is just way too dangerous. What you also don't want are loose clothing, loose sleeves especially. And even some of the ties for our aprons could be problematic if it's tied in front and it's longer than we need. So just be aware of anything that could be caught in the vise, the rotary tool, or the buffer, anything like that. So the loose clothing and the hair, tying back the hair. I leave a little clippy on my lamp here, so it's always handy. This may not be my favorite, but it's always handy, so if I sit down and my hair is not tied back, I can grab it and tie it back without searching for a rubber band or whatever. The next thing I want to talk about is eye protection. Most of us wear glasses at this point in our lives, but these are not all that protective. They're better than nothing, of course, but it would be better to have some safety glasses that will fit over your glasses. And it's kind of nice to have some that are clean that you can see through. This is not a good example of that because they're covered with dust. So, a little trick on this: if you buy them new and wash them in water and dry them with a cloth, not a paper towel, they'll last a lot longer. And then store them in a sock or something so that they don't get scratched in your toolbox or dusty on your wall. The next kind of fun thing I like, these are little Harbor Freight visors. And when you get these, they have a clear plastic protective thing on them. And once you get that off, these are just great because they go over your face. And when they're new and clean, I'll take it off so that you can hear me. You really don't even see them, and they're really light, and because they're elastic, they fit everybody's face or head size. You can flip them up or down, and they're dirt cheap. So especially if you can get them on sale with a coupon, I think they're $2.99 or something. So get several of them, and that way when they get all scratched up, they can go in the trash. But these are great, and they do help, but they do need to be in a down position. You can't really this isn't going to help you too much because enough debris will get in underneath it. Okay, next thing I'd like to talk about is particles when we're doing the flex shaft. A lot of crud flies up in our face, and we don't want to breathe it because all of these abrasives have some sort of nasty things in them that we don't want in our lungs. The very minimum that you would want to use is one of these little dust masks. I keep one handy here, just throw it on. You can see mine is dirty because I use it over and over again. It's better than nothing. If you're really serious about particles, or if you're doing something that has silicone involved, pearl dust is actually a nasty thing to breathe, or soldering fumes, an N95 is the perfect thing. They're a little bit harder to get these days because of the coronavirus, but these are ones that we've had, and they do need to go on and fit tight. So if you're doing anything, soldering fumes, anything nasty, or lots of dust things, use a good respirator. Gloves. Rubber gloves are a good idea if you're doing chemicals. Rubber gloves are not so good of an idea if you're using a flex shaft or a buffing machine, or leather gloves the same way, because they can get caught in it and pull you in. So I would suggest just using the nitrile gloves or the kitchen kind of gloves when you're doing anything that involves chemicals, acids, liver of sulfur. I don't know that it's that nasty to put your hands in, but you know, these things are cumulative. We don't need chemicals in our bodies. Pickle, it's not a good thing, so don't put your hands in the pickle. There's just a lot of little safety things. My bench for soldering. I solder at my bench here on these heat resistant things. This needs to be fireproof or heat resistant as well. What you really don't want to do is leave paper towels here, or even shop rags. And I see that really a lot in workshops, where people will dry something with a paper towel and then put it on the bench right next to where they're going to be soldering soon. So that is extremely dangerous, because guess what? It's easy enough to do. Hi, I'm back. I'm just going around my studio and pointing out a few things that you need to be careful of when you're in your studio. And one of the things here, a lot of the new rolling mills have guards over the gears, but mine does not, and a lot of them don't. So just be aware that when you're doing something, that you don't get your flesh or your clothing, skin, or any parts of you in those gears, because you won't like it. Any of these electrical things are really nice if they're plugged into a power strip, and when you leave your studio you can just hit the power strip and it's off, and you don't have to worry about things when you're not using them being perhaps accidentally left on or turned on. This is one of my favorite tools, the Bella belt sander, but you do need to be careful with it because it is a moving part and the abrasive cuts skin very well. So you want to keep your fingers away from moving parts, and then this one also moves, so you don't want to be doing something over here. You just want to be aware of your surroundings and be very careful when you're using it. Again, eye protection, probably ear protection if it's making a lot of noise. The electric and cleaning areas. It's just a good thing to have these things unplugged when you're not using them. That way they can't perhaps be, I'm moving this and I accidentally turn on the knob. If it's unplugged, it's okay. Pickle pot, ultrasonic cleaner, and the buffer. Do not use the buffer if you haven't been instructed formally in using it, because being a rotary tool and very powerful, that's why it works so well, but it can also be dangerous if you don't do it right, and it's all a whole nother animal. So just, I would say, get some personal instruction before you take a chance with the buffing wheel. This is one of my soldering welding areas, and I have the garage door closed because the light is bad for photographing, and also my neighbor is mowing his lawn, so it's noisy out there. But you see the breeze box on there? That goes when I'm doing anything that is requiring soldering. So all those fumes go outside. I have a window opposite this in the other side of the room where air comes in. And I live in a fairly temperate area in the summertime anyway, and so I can leave this garage door open all day and have lots of ventilation in my studio. But ventilation is important, so make sure that you have some good ventilation, however that is, so you're not breathing a lot of nasty fumes. So I'm back at my bench, and I just want to close by saying, think about safety. Keep it in the forefront of your mind, not in the back of your mind. And I just kind of ask myself, if seems to me like maybe a bad idea when I'm doing it, let your survival instinct kick in and listen to that little person inside there that's saying, I don't think this is a good idea, because you know what? They're probably right. So be safe, and we will see you in class. Bye.